Hi, and welcome along to the AFTV Tactical Insight Show with me and Graham. Graham, we're going to get straight into it, yeah? Because the first person I was thinking about after that game against Watford, the 2-2 draw, which is 2-2. A mate of mine sent me a message this morning and said, Robbie, all you lot on AFTV, all the guys you interviewed and that, need to calm down. We drew the game. We didn't lose. But it really felt like a loss. 2-0 up. And we threw it away. We really threw it away. A game of two halves. Again, just like the Tottenham game. First half, 2-0 up, cruising. Even though Watford had quite a bit of possession and shots and that, I never really felt under threat. Second half, as soon as it started, there was some sloppy moments. I'm like, what are these guys doing? And then, honestly, and the stat I want to look at, you know, you're going to go through it all. The glaring stat that already jumps out on me is this one. Goal attempts against Arsenal. And we're not playing Barcelona. We're not playing Real Madrid. We're not playing City. We're not playing Liverpool. 31 attempts. 31. Most of those in the second half by Watford. What's going on here, Graham?
Well, first of all, it's time to go.
No, that's it.
No, the reason I said that is that obviously I did the troops catchphrase last week, didn't I? Back again. And that went down quite well. And some guy sort of said, can you try and get an AFTV regular catchphrase that summed up an Arsenal game after each game? So obviously, watching all the fan cams yesterday, and obviously Claude, bless him, that's Claude's, isn't it? It's time to go. Do I think it's time to go for Emery? Not yet. But I think the signs are very worrying. The signs are very worrying. This game, you said earlier when you introduced the piece today that we were comfortable in that first half. I didn't think we were. I have to say, I didn't watch the game live yesterday. I was at the cricket at the Oval.
No, all right.
I got a sort of a ticket last minute for the Oval test, and this guy came up to me yesterday. He said, "You're on AFTV. Can I have a selfie?" And I went, "Yeah, sure." And he said, "Why aren't you at the game? Why aren't you watching the game?" So
you done the right thing.
Yeah, I was at the cricket yesterday. So just going into it, when I watched it back last night, I didn't think we were comfortable at all, Robbie. First 20 minutes, they had chances, and we weren't closing them down outside our penalty box. And then I made one outstanding save. We were sitting off them, right? That first 20 minutes. So I watched DT's interview last night. I thought DT nailed it totally. That was a really good interview, and I think a lot of the things that he said, I'm going to repeat today. So and the thing is, we're looking at this manager. We sort of like discussed last week Emery v Wenger, the shots we're conceding.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very relevant point because so far this season we've conceded now 96 shots in our 5 games, 3 more than the second highest of Norwich. We've been outshot in 4 of the 5 games. The only game where we outshot a team was Tottenham at the Emirates. So we're struggling to create, we're struggling to defend, and worst of all, we're making mistakes. And the manager doesn't seem to, at the moment, have a vision, and worse still, he doesn't seem to have any visible leaders on the pitch. So basically, at the moment, the whole thing looks a bit of a mess. And I'm worried for Emery because, as DT quite rightly says, that if he doesn't get us in the Champions League next year, I think that they will make a change because that is his remit. He's had the money. He's got the players. You said last week that he's got Wenger players. He's 2 of the defenders who are making the mistakes are 2 of his choices, Socrates and Luiz. Socrates has now made errors in successive games. Luiz has made 3 errors in 2 games. That is the spine, the key part of your spine, your team. And the other thing that's unravelled, I thought was quite telling. There seems to be a problem at the club at the moment with some of the things that are going on between Aubameyang and Xhaka. Xhaka coming out last week and saying that obviously if the forwards had scored 1 more goal, because he made the mistake, gave away the penalty, and he deflected it away from the mistake more. The forwards didn't take the chances they created, and Aubameyang firing back a shot today, which I think is aimed at Xhaka when he turns around and quite openly says, I'm not blaming anyone, but if the forwards had got 1 more goal, we might have won that game, although I'm not blaming anyone. That's in effect what he said. So the problem we got with Xhaka is, and I have to say with Xhaka, when your captain is your most error-prone player on the pitch, that, to me, when you've got an elite player playing with somebody who's captain, who's the most error-prone player in the team, that, to me, sums the team up. I think our problems are are more than just one facet, and I will go through the game in a minute, but I think the key areas for me is that at the moment, this playing out from the back, Robbie, I don't know what you think about it.
Awful. Awful. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing out from the back. They've changed the rules to make it easier from playing out from there. That's what I don't understand, is that you now, when you receive the ball from the keeper, can receive it facing the players that are going to be coming at you. So as a professional footballer, that makes it easier. Before, you was getting it on the half turn, the ball had to travel to the edge of the box. Now you can literally stand next to the keeper and get the ball and then pick out whoever you want. Why is Socrates getting it there and just passing it in the middle of the goal? I mean, it's one of the worst mistakes I have seen.
Let's talk about that. Right, we're 2 up at half time. First goal in transition. We didn't transition that well yesterday, I didn't think, but we did on a few occasions. He went with the 4-4-2 formation. Ozil came in at the tip of a diamond. Aubameyang and Pepe. Obviously, Lacazette, massive miss yesterday because he comes back into that hole and works in that midfield. So he went with the 4-4-2 formation. We got our 2 goals. Aubameyang, predatory finish on the turn. And then that 20 pass move, absolute poetry for the second goal. The most passes, I think, for a Premier League goal ever. That's what we're capable of offensively. So we go in 2 up. We didn't deserve it. Watford were the better team in that first half. And I think the problem we got is the way we set up in midfield. We've said it before. Xhaka at the base of the diamond, Ceballos and Guendouzi are the other 2 midfielders. The problem I've got, when we lose the ball, we don't get back into a shape. There's no shape. And so basically, he talked about physicality yesterday. And we do get bullied by teams. We've been bullied by teams for years, and he hasn't sorted this out, and he's been manager now for just over a year. But I think that it goes far beyond that, in that we allowed them back in at the start of the second half. Now, you talked about that should be better, and I will say that their goal should have been disallowed. I don't know if you've seen it, but
why?
Because when he goes to play it out, Leno plays it. Socrates comes here.
Yeah.
And Leno's going to play the ball to him. And he's got options. He's got Maitland-Niles out here, and I think it was Louise on this side, and then he's got like a Delafeo pressed up here, and he's the one who has a foot in the box. A foot in the box. Now, when we talked about...
A foot in the box before it's played?
Before it's played out.
So why didn't VAR pick it up now?
I don't think VAR can pick that sort of thing up. I think there's I must admit, that's one that people might want to talk about in the comments. You know, if they know the answer, put it in the comments. But he clearly had a foot in the box. So and they picked up on it on Sky. So it's definitely should have been disallowed. And you talk about margins last week with Kolasinac marginally offside the other week against Tottenham when we got our 3rd goal ruled out by VAR. This was marginally inside the box.
The other one as well, I mean, we were discussing it in the Bias Premier League show, and I said, listen, controversial. And this is controversial, and a lot of people are going to say to me, Robbie, you're chatting rubbish, which I might be, right? The penalty. Again, I think VAR looks on that penalty. I look at that penalty and I say, David Luiz gets himself in a horrible position, realises it and pulls himself away. But the player still goes down. And I don't blame the player, I'd do it as well, but he goes down.
You're saying there's no contact?
I don't think there was. I don't think there was any, and if there was, it was absolute minimal not for him to go down like that. That's me looking at it. Listen, they get given because it looks bad, you're in a wrong position and that, but look at it again. Luiz is pulling his whole body back away. He's realised the error. He's pulling back. That's trying his hardest not to, you know.
Is that the? I watched Alan Shearer last week on Match of the Day, where he turned around and said that a forward looks for the contact.
Of course they look for the contact.
So if he's looking for the contact, and he slightly touches him, he's going down. He said.
But then is that enough to? Is that a penalty?
Well, it's
been one of my gripes for years. I think a penalty should be not just because of the slightest of contact, because it wouldn't be anywhere else on the pitch. It should be a penalty because of the foul.
Yeah.
Not. When did a penalty become just about contact? I always thought penalties was about fouling somebody in the box or a handball.
But if it wasn't a penalty, wouldn't VAR have looked at it and overruled it? I mean, it wasn't a clear and obvious area.
Clutching at straws. But the main thing, like what you said, is that I don't see any shape at all with Arsenal. The way that ball was just played through our midfield. We had no midfield. And then the back four. Oh,
the problem I've got with Emery, the last 2 games, he's asked midfield players to play as defensive midfield players to play as attackers, in that 4-3-3 formation. Then he doesn't seem to. There's real confusion about the way he wants to play. 4-3-3 and then back to a 4-4-2, albeit with Lacazette's injury. He could easily have played Reece Nelson at left hand side to keep the 4-3-3 shape, and obviously Torreira could have played at the base. I know he came back off international duty, but he seems to be confused at the moment. What is our best formation? And the midfield is a case in point that he hasn't sorted that out. We are out of shape. We don't sort of track back well enough. No. We don't pick up runners. And I think that he hasn't sorted this out on the training ground. I don't know, he hasn't seemed to sort of got the players in a shape that they can fall back into easily off the ball. So is that, and then the players I think lack belief and they struggle with this. The 2 goals, if we go back to the first goal, and I'm going to highlight when we do play out, because I think Leno was here, Socrates was here. He had options here, the exit strategy. He could have gone to Maitland-Niles. Once he plays it to Socrates could have gone out to Maitland-Niles here, and Maitland-Niles could have gone down the line. But the other thing was, Aubameyang had to come into here. So, there's nothing wrong with occasionally playing short, but you need to mix it up. And when Aubameyang,
like Man City did.
And like Edison does for Man City. So why not play it over to Aubameyang?
Yeah.
He made a stupid comment. He said we were worried about their physicality, that's why we weren't playing long. But then
later on in the game, we went long all the time and we just hit it straight to them.
Yeah.
Because again, we were just hitting it straight down the middle long.
Yeah.
Why weren't we going wide with it long sometimes? So I just didn't get what was going on. There seemed to be no clue, no plan. I mean, Xhaka came out and said the players are scared, nobody wanted the ball. I mean, that's quite damning as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and it goes back to Troy Deener will be laughing at that, won't he?
Well, it's, again, when we did the bio show, I said, you know, Troy Deeney's got criticised for saying that Arsenal had no cojones. We're coming out and saying we're scared. Isn't that the same thing?
Possibly. But going back to the second goal that we conceded then, we had 5 players in their penalty box in the 88th minute of a game.
Yeah.
When we're trying to close a game out of 2-1. And it all breaks down, and then they just transition through our midfield, through the empty spaces where we're not set right when we lose the ball. So, and that led to the incident. So you can't blame Emery for the mistakes players are making, experienced players, but they are his signings. Yeah. But you can blame him for the way we're playing. You can blame him for the lack of structure in the midfield, the lack of tactics, the lack of the way he sets us up. And I think that, you know, this was the worry of him. I mean, I've sung his praises over the last year. He has done, but I think it's unravelling now. He's transitioned us on from Wenger now. And I think there's a clear lack of...
Transitioned us on to what?
That's the question, isn't it? It's transitioning us on to a team that at the moment, if you look at the stats, right, the last year, Arsenal Football Club have conceded most chances that led to goals in the Premier League. I think it's up to 15 now. We've given away most penalties in the last year, 10, 3 this year. We've conceded most shots, 96. I said to you last week that we conceded last season 70 more shots over the season in 38 games than we did under Wenger. And I think DT did make that point that we're, I respect DT's views a lot, although I disagree with him on that. And he did say the point was that he had Wenger's players. But nothing's changed, you can see it. Nothing's changed this season. 96 shots we've conceded, and we've moved on from Wenger now. So, and the other thing is he's conceded 59 goals in 43 Premier League games. That's an average of nearly 1.5 goals a game. And these players are making so many mistakes. Now, for me, it's almost like, do you rip this defence up now? I know he's got Bellerin and Tierney coming back, and that will make a massive difference, because I think now, tactically yesterday, if he's going to play, last year he was worried about the Maitland-Niles and Kolasinac. They're not what I call great defensive...
He's still worried about them.
They're not great defensive fullbacks, Robbie, right? So you need to have protection from them, and the only way you get protection is if you play 2 wide men. Remember last year you had Mkhitaryan and Iwobi as his wide men working with these fullbacks when he played the 4, because that gave him protection. But now when you play narrow like this, that's the risk, because they played very easy round our press. Yes, they bullied us in midfield. They have got 2 fantastic physical players, Dakor and Kapui, who are excellent. But we have got more. We just need to work hard in a game like that, compete with them, and then our superior talent should win us the game.
Why did he take Ceballos off?
He said it was too hot.
Oh, what?
I read he said it was too hot. That's what I read. Whether that's true or not.
I hope it's not true.
And I have to say, his substitutions were baffling. Absolutely
baffling, man,
absolutely
because...
baffling. And it handed them the initiative.
Yeah, because Ceballos, was keeping hold of the ball at least in midfield.
Yeah.
As soon as he came on, we didn't see the ball again.
I think Mesut Ozil did one great thing in the game. He opened up their defence for the goal, but he should have come off.
He should have been the first one off. He's hardly played as well.
Exactly,
Would have been the easiest player to take off because he's hardly played any games.
Yeah.
Get him off, keep Ceballos on, keep control of the ball.
He had two options. He could have gone 4-4-1-1 or he could have gone 4-3-3. And I think if he'd done that, they would have found it harder. Because one thing we've stopped doing, Robbie, I think people need to understand, we've stopped doing what we were doing well parts of last season. That's the pressing.
Yeah, we don't press
We don't press anymore. So we're not pressing. We're playing this out from the back now, which he started playing last year, then he shelved when it was obvious Petr Cech. Everyone moaned at Petr Cech. Right, now Petr Cech's not there anymore. We still can't do it, can we? We still can't bloody do it. Excuse my language. But so he's got defenders like Socrates. He doesn't play like that for Greece, does he? He doesn't. No. So he's asking Socrates to do something he's not comfortable with. So he's either got two things. He can do what Pep did, persevere with him until he gets someone in and replaces him. And Holding could do that role. Holding's good at playing up from the back. Or he just plays a different style.
Mix it up. I mean, sometimes you play it short. So look at Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool go long loads of times. They're always hitting diagonals all the time. I mean,
Tottenham.
Yeah, mix it up.
Yeah.
I think he's starting to get himself under a lot of put himself into a lot of pressure. And the goal attempts is that in the second half?
No, that's in the game.
1.
7, that is.
I was going to say, you did score 2.
Well, we've got 2 goals.
7 goal attempts compared to their
let this sink
31.
In. Let your viewers on AFTV let this sink in, right? Liverpool had 25 attempts at our goal when we were defending in this shape, 4-4-2. I said I understood why he went for it at Liverpool because they were a superior team, and so you could understand why he wanted to keep it narrow and given the wide areas, hopefully deal with the crosses coming in. This was totally different. Watford are not a superior team to us, and really to play narrow like this and to concede 31 goal attempts, 25 shots. Their XG was over 3 to our 0.8. That's how dominant they are. They had more passes than us, more shots goal than us, more shots off goal than us, more blocks than us, more corners than us. They had everything more than us. And in the end, we were moaning about it 2-2, but to be honest, we were the ones who escaped.
No, I was glad when the whistle went.
Yeah.
Finally, how long do you give Emery if this doesn't turn around?
Do you know what, I read today that some people want him gone now.
I think that's
harsh.
That's harsh.
And I read that some people want him out by Christmas if this carries on.
Because there's people like... My mate sent me a text, he goes, Robbie, Allegri's out there.
Allegri's out there. Nagelman's out there, is he?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Nagelsmann, but
Nagel's
Allegri is there, offering.
Yeah, I think the thing is that when you're manager of Arsenal Football Club, you're under pressure. And I think that what's worrying for me is at PSG, there were defensive issues at PSG, which he didn't fix. He had the great forward line there, but defensively they were poor, and he didn't fix that. He's come in, first year, you had to give him the first year, and he's got a 2-year contract with a possible extension of 3. I think that if he doesn't get Champions League this year, I agree with DT, I think that'd be it. But we don't know the relationship between the new hierarchy, do we? And that's the thing that, we're talking we think that he'll go, but if he's got a good relationship with Raul
I just get the feeling they ain't going to be as patient as the old lot. And, I just get the impression that, you look how they were in the transfer market, they're pretty ruthless.
Yeah. I think he's certainly got this season, but I'm more concerned...
Not if this sort of stuff continues.
I'm more concerned at the moment. The fact is that, forget about... We're thinking a long way ahead at the moment. We need to think about... He's got to address the issues that he's seeing now. Well, of course, yeah. And I think we are still early into the season, only 5 games. And I think he's got time to get it right. But I must admit, it's worrying. It doesn't look as though he knows the answers to deal with our problems, which have been there when Wenger was there. So if this carries on, we're not going to get top 4, are we? We could even be struggling, to get top 6 if
And there's better teams to come. I mean, we're going to go and play, especially away from home. We've got Leicester, Wolves.
Yeah.
Man United we've got coming up soon. But I'd like to know what you guys think about the tactics of Unai Emery. What is he getting wrong? What do you think he needs to do? How can he change it? And can Arsenal, you know, are we all getting carried away and we need to calm down a bit? Just relax. And do you trust him that he will get it right? And is it not his fault? Is it, you know, he's getting the blame, but how can you, this game, 2 glaring errors from defenders. The game against Tottenham, again, glaring errors
and Liverpool
from defenders. The game against Liverpool, 2 of those 3 goals, glaring errors again from defenders. How frustrating must that be for Unai Emery? That's not his fault, you know. So,
but it is his fault the way he's asking them to play up from the back. He can change that. He needs to ditch that. He ditched it last year because it didn't work. He needs to ditch it again, and that's the thing. And we need to have a better exit strategy. Go out to the sides or go peel off. Aubameyang peel out wide and play off him for second balls.
And when we do go out wide, we need to move it quicker because we'll get it and we'll be still messing around down there too.
Yeah. The key for me is the thing. We talk about the defence low, and we have got defenders making individual errors, but in front of them they've got no protection, no people getting back in a shape. We haven't got a shape off the ball, Robbie, and I can't. That's the thing I want to put out in this video today more than anything. If you've got no shape off the ball and you're not tracking your runners, you're not stopping your crosses, these guys, they're going to make errors, but they're going to be under pressure all the time. So he needs to sort out this midfield. He's got a lot of midfielders. He needs to get the right midfield set up, and he needs to get them structured in a way so when we lose possession in transition, they're in a shape to defend and protect this back four. If he doesn't do that, I fear for him and I fear for us this season.
Thanks for watching the show, and we'll be back next week. Exciting news on the 17th of September between the hours of 7 and 8 p.m. UK time. We are going to be doing a special live stream to celebrate us getting 1 million subscribers. We're going to have lots of guests, giveaways, Q&As. It's going to be huge. So put it in your diary. The 17th of September, special AFTV live stream from 7 to 8 p.m.